ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। बीजापूरगदेक्षु कार्मकरुजा चक्राब्जपाशोत्पल व्रीह्यग्रास्वविषाणरत्नकलश प्रोद्यत्कराम्भोरुहः ध्येयो वल्लभया सपद्मकरया श्लिष्टोज्ज्वलद्भूषया विश्वोत्पत्तिविपत्तिसंस्थितिकरो विघ्नेश इष्टार्थदः। ओम श्रीं ह्रीं क्लीं ग्लौं गं गणपतये वरवरद सर्वजनं मे युष्मान्ये स्वाहा। ओम श्रीं ह्रीं क्लीं ग्लौं गं गणपतये वरवरद सर्वजनं मे युष्मान्ये स्वाहा। ओम श्रीं ह्रीं क्लीं ग्लौं गं गणपतये वरवरद सर्वजनं मे युष्मान्ये स्वाहा। महागणाधिपतये नमः। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम नमस्ते गणपतये त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं तत्त्वमसि त्वमेव केवलं कर्तासि त्वमेव केवलं धर्तासि त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि त्वमेव सर्वं खल्विदं ब्रह्मासि त्वं साक्षादात्मासि नित्यं कृतं वच्मि सत्यं वच्मि अवत्वं माम् अववक्तारम् अवश्रोतारम् अवदातारम् अवधातारम् अवानुचानम् अवशिष्यम् अवपश्चात्तात् अवपुरस्तात् अवोत्तरात्तात् अवदक्षिणात्तात् अवचोर्ध्वात्तात् अवाद्रात्तात् सर्वतो मां पाहि पाहि समन्तात्। त्वं वाङ्मयस्त्वं चिन्मयः त्वमानन्दमयस्त्वं ब्रह्ममयः त्वं सच्चिदानन्दाद्वितीयोऽसि त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वं ज्ञानमयो विज्ञानमयोऽसि। This is where we left off, looking at the fourth mantra. Tvam Vangmayastvam Chinmayah. Salutations to Ganesh Ji, who is Vangmaya. Vangmaya Tvam Chinmayah. And over here, see this Mayat Pratyaya is used. Mayat Pratyaya in Sanskrit means filled with. Just like we have Anandamaya, Vijnanamaya. So that Maya is Mayat Pratyaya, filled with that and that alone. So Vangmaya, you are of the very embodiment of speech and speech alone. So Pranavasvarupa, and the origin of all speech is none other than Aum. Pranavasvarupa, Ganesh Ji. So Tvam Vangmayas Tvam Chinmayaha. Without Shastra, where would we even know truth? So without speech, there is no Shastra. Without speech, there is no scriptures. And without scripture, there is no knowledge. Without knowledge, there is no direction. Without direction, we will eternally be lost. So the very presence and embodiment of Ganesh Ji is that he gives us direction. Vignakarta, Vignaharta, the Prathama Nandana, Shivatanaya, the first very dear son of Lord Shiva, gives us the direction for Shiva Tattva. That is what it is. The Shiva Tattva to be realized, the absolute auspiciousness to be realized is only Darshita Margi, the Marg shown by the Deshika, none other than Guru, the teacher. But the teacher can only show it provided that the teacher has himself, herself learned Shastra. And without Shastra, there is no learning. So Tvam Vangmayaha, and that Vangmaya itself is Chinmaya. We saw that yesterday as well, that the embodiment of awareness, consciousness, it is the principle of consciousness alone which is the subject matter of the Vedas. Yesterday I mentioned that Dharma and Brahma. Dharma is that which leads to Brahma. So Dharma is the natural state of being of any substance. In chemistry, we study the Dharma of all different types of chemicals, all different types of, we see the entire periodic table of elements, and each one of them has their own property, this, that, physics. Everywhere we see, we are only studying the Dharma of a particular thing. Geology, what is the Dharma of Earth? Within geology, there are geologists who study only volcanoes. So what is the Dharma of a volcano? Even so, every science, the root is what is Dharma. And then when we understand the Dharma, then the person who is studying Dharma, what is his Dharma? So subjective analysis, objective analysis of the world leads to the subjective analysis. The one who is finding out Dharma of the world, what is my Dharma? So when it comes to my Dharma, then it goes towards Brahma, because my Dharma is, my nature is Brahman. So that's why Vedas only have two subject matter, Dharma, the whole world of plurality is for Dharma. And then the world of subjective reality is none other than Brahma, Brahman, absolute truth. And that is Chinmaya. Sat, Chit, Ananda. That is this Chinmaya. I will talk about that because it's coming up in this mantra itself. So he is the very embodiment. Bhagavan is the embodiment of consciousness, the self-illumining power, the principle of knowing. When we say consciousness, it is the principle of knowing. The speech has to be known. Known to whom? Me, not to anybody else. If somebody learns in the process, well and good. But first and foremost, if I don't get it, then it is as good as a tree falling in the Amazon. Who knows? So one has to know. Then Tvam Anandamayastvam Brahmamayaha. Tvam Anandamaya. And you know, knowledge is that which bestows absolute joy, because it satiates the thirst of the intellect to know. When it has known everything, it tries to know its own self. Cause hunting is the preoccupation of the intellect, Gurudev used to say. And when the intellect has found its own cause as none other than the absolute, trupto bhavati, anando bhavati. And that trupti, anandamaya, is its swarup, it is its nature. So this is a swarupa lakshana of Ganapati is talked about, that he's Vangmaya, he's Chinmaya, he's Anandamaya. And that Ananda is not like our Ananda, bound by time and space and objective reality. If the Tesla comes, happy. If the Tesla works, happy. If the Tesla breaks down, ayyo. So it starts. So over here, this Anandamaya is what kind of Anandamaya it is? This Anandamaya is Brahmamaya. Brahmamaya is, it is infinite. It's infinitude. It is beyond the realm of time, space, and causation. It is absolute bliss, which is not dependent upon anything. It is causeless cause, ever independent, sarva tantra swatantra ananda. And that's why it is qualified by Brahmamaya. Sarva tantra swatantra, free from all types of tantra, meaning any type of limiting adjunct is referred to as a tantra, any type of body, any type of equipment. So sarva tantra swatantra is this Brahman, is this Ananda, and that is Brahmamaya. It is the very infinitude. Tvam Satchidananda Advitiyosi. Sat Chit Ananda. So now the Swarupa Lakshan, there are only 4 Swarupa Lakshan. Sat, Chit, Anand, and Anantam. Anantam over here is referred to as Brahmamaya, okay? Ananta meaning infinitude. These are the only Swarupa Lakshan of absolute truth. The truth is existence, and that existence is self-aware, and that self-awareness is referred to as Chit. Chinmaya, it is aware of its own presence. So Sat is presence, and that presence is not a dead presence. It is known. Known to whom? Its own self. So it is Chit, it is Chinmaya. That Satmaya is Chinmaya, and that knowledge of my own existence is not a burden to me, and thus it is happiness. If it were a burden to me, it would not be happiness. Like sometimes our mental conditions are burden to us. Like for example, depression. Depression is a burden to us. There are people who are not happy with their own climatic conditions of their own mind, and that's why they're ready to take their own life. We call it suicide. But that is not what we are talking about over here. This self-awareness is never a burden to itself. It is complete. Why? Because it is unbroken. Our self-awareness is interrupted by the world of plurality. Even when we are meditating and we have withdrawn our mind's attention from everything and we are meditating quietly and somebody rings the bell. So our meditation is interrupted. Or we are meditating quietly and right at that time, the neighbor's dog has to start barking. Our own meditation gone out the door. Now we are meditating on when the dog is going to be quiet so I can meditate. This is called awareness being hijacked by the pluralistic world. But the self-awareness of consciousness, it is never hijacked by anything because it alone is. Why? Advitiyosi. There is no second to hijack. That is why Satchidananda Advitiyosi. That Advitiyosi qualifies the fact that its awareness is everlasting. And because it is everlasting and it is not a burden to itself, it alone is, that is why it is joy and happiness. Thus, Tvam Pratyaksham Brahmasi. You are absolute truth. Oh Bhagavan Ganesh Ji, oh Vinayaka, you are absolute truth. Tvam Jnanamayo Vijnanamayosi. You are, Jnanam is knowledge, Samanya Jnana. And then Vijnan is called Vishesha Jnanam, specific knowledge. This light is illumining my face, and that same light is illuminating even this wristwatch. But the light of awareness in here illumines my body, my mind, my intellect, my eyes, my ears, my nose, each one of my pancha jnanendriyani. I'm aware of the fact that I'm speaking, I'm looking at the screen and I'm seeing everyone and I'm hearing the fan over here and I'm hearing myself as well. And I'm even the tongue is tasting. I have brushed my teeth before I started, so I'm even tasting the freshness of my mouth, because when I'm uttering Shastra, the palate has to be clean. So while speaking, so many things are integrated while this is going on, and that awareness lends its awareness to various senses which light up the experiences, and these experiences are called Vijnan, Vishesha Jnan. Now I'm aware of the fact that this is watch. I'm aware of the fact this is phone. I'm aware of the fact this is book, this is camera. This is called Vishesha Jnanam. Samanya Jnanam is the presence of this awareness. So the light of pure consciousness is Samanya, and the light of all the particular knowledge known via the senses, it is called Vishesha Jnanam, and thus knowledge and wisdom, they go together. And sometimes there is a gap between them. We may have the knowledge, but if we don't apply it, it cannot be called wisdom. So Vishesh Jnanam is when knowledge is understood and that knowledge is applied where it is required, then it becomes Vishesh Jnanam. That wisdom is our own true understanding. So, Tvam Jnanamayo Vijnanamayosi. Oh, Ganesh Ji, you are the epitome of knowing, and you are also the epitome of knowing everything in its own presence. That is Ganesh Ji. Continuing, Sarvam Jagadidam Tvatto Jayate, Sarvam Jagadidam Tvattastishtati, Sarvam Jagadidam Tvailaya Meshyati, Sarvam Jagadidam Tvai Pratyeti, Tvam Bhumirapo Nalo Nilo Nabaha, Tvam Chatvariva Atpadani. So now over here, Ganesh ji is over here indicated as the very material cause of the universe. O Ganesh ji, sarvam idam jagat tvai jayate, tvattah jayate. From you, this world has arisen. So when we say from him, the world has arisen, then he becomes the material cause. Without him, it would have not arisen. So this indicates that Ganesh ji is the very material cause. Now, Tvai sarvam jagadidam tvattastishtati. Not only is the world, not only this world has come about from you, but Ganesh ji, this world remains in you. You are the sustainer of this world. Sarvam idam jagat tvattah tishtati. Exists, it exists in you. Bhagavan, this exists in you. The whole world, he is the creator, he's the sustainer. Sarvam jagadidam tvai eva layam eshyati. This entire world comes to resolve in you and you alone. Sarvam jagadidam tvai pratiyeti. And this world comes prati again, eti comes back. This world comes back again from you. So a cyclic cycle of creation is mentioned over here, that Ganesh ji, from you the world rises, into you the worlds are sustained, into you the worlds dissolve, and from you it rises back up again. In a technical term, all this is referred to as nimitta upadana karana, abhinna nimitta upadana karana. Non-different material and efficient cause. Now, if one and only one thing is a material and the efficient cause, then the effect which is produced, that effect is called illusion. So what is implied over here, your power is the illusory Maya Shakti, which continuously creates, sustains, dissolves, creates, sustains, dissolve. In you, the Maya Shakti resolves, and this Maya Shakti is your power. How can we say that a non-different, efficient and material cause, when it is that, if one and only one thing is a material cause and an efficient cause, then the effect is illusion? How can we say that? Let's take first the example of a pot maker. The pot maker takes clay, and the pot maker finds a wheel and places the needed refined clay in the very center of the wheel. And then the pot maker takes a nice big stick, puts it into one of the axis point and spins the wheel, puts the stick down, and now he contours and creates shapes, and the pot maker creates a pot. So we have a pot maker, we have the clay, and we have the wheel required to make the pot. So the clay is not the pot maker is not the wheel, and the wheel is not the clay. All three of them are separate. But over here, what is said is, oh Lord, you are the clay. Oh Lord, the pot created is you. Oh Lord, the maker of the pot is also you. Can you imagine the same pot maker being the clay, the wheel, and himself, all three at the same time? No. But you know what? Every day we experience this in the dream state. Our mind creates the dream. Our mind creates the dream world. And our mind creates the dream me. I am also in my dream. Otherwise, how would I know my dream? So my mind is the dream world. My mind is the dream experience that I have, and I am in the dream. And my mind is also various objects in my own dream. Let's say I have a dream that, oh, I have gone to Kauai Hindu monastery, and oh, I have enjoyed this beautiful Hawaiian forest, and it is so nice and cooling from the heat of Texas. I have escaped to Hawaii in my dream. So my mind became the United Airlines, which is a direct flight from Houston to Hawaii. And in my own dream, the United flight is also not on time. It is delayed. I create dream, and I create airlines, and I even create delay of my own airlines. Then I finally arrive. And the whole Hawaii is my mind created Hawaii. And I get so excited. I rent a car and everything, and I enjoy, only for the alarm to make some noise at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm disturbed from my beautiful dream. So my mind was me. My mind was Hawaii. My mind was this beautiful experience. My mind was the airlines. Every single thing is my mind. So while it was experienced, it was amazing. But when the real world alarm went on, it pulled me out of the dream world, and I woke up and I said, ay, 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 yo, this was only a dream. It was so fantastic. So in the waking state, I have negated the dream state, that illusion. So what is indicated, sarvam jagadidam tvatto jayate, sarvam jagadidam tvattastishtati, sarvam jagadidam tvai layameshyati, sarvam jagadidam tvai pratyeti. Bhagavan, you are the nimitta upadana karana of this world, and the world is an illusion like my dream state. That is proved over here, the illusory nature of the world, by saying that, Ganeshji, you alone are. In fact, other than you, nothing else is. But if at all, Tvam Bhumihi, Apaha, Analaha, Anilaha, Nabaha, in case any one of these 5 elements exists, it exists in the power of your Maya Shakti. The prapancha, 5 elemental created world from 5 elements. Bhagwan, you are the upholder of it as the Maya Shakti. Tvam Chatvari va akpadani. You are the fourfold speech. What are the fourfold speech? Para, Pashyati, Madhyama and Vaikhari. Para is the unmanifest. Pashyati is it comes into the purview of my own mind and intellect. Madhyama, it now becomes solid with doped in desires. And Vaikhari, it comes out as the manifested speech. So what is meant by that is that if at all the world manifests, it is a manifestation of desires. Without desires, the world will not exist. Either dream world or the external large world of plurality in front of us. Chatvari va akpadani. The fourfold parts of the speech. When the speech is released, it goes through 4 sections. The unmanifest becomes manifest, but the process of the unmanifest coming out to manifestation, in between, it is a desire that connects the two. In the same way, the world, when it is unmanifest and when it comes back out again, without desire, the world will not come out. So what is the desire? It is the cosmic sanchit karma. That is the desire. It is the cosmic vasana. And when the cosmic vasana comes out, within the cosmic vasanas, all of us individual vasanas are very much present. And each one of our desires, each and every single one of the species in this universe, each one of their desires put together becomes the cosmic world, the cosmic vasana. So in this 5th mantra, Ganesh ji has been given the title of Abhinna Nimittopadana Karana, non-different material and efficient cause. And that efficient cause is none other than the one who is Mayavi, the one who wields the power of Maya. And the only way power of Maya is unleashed is by something known as desires, vasanas. The unmanifest becomes manifest through the medium of desires. Okay, it's not that it's just why is it said over here. The connection is the whole mantra is together. Very beautifully, the concepts of all our Upanishads is all put together over here in this Ganesha Atarvashirsha Upanishad. It is very powerful. Isha, Kena, Katha, Mundaka, Mandukya, Aitreya, Taitreya, everything all put together is over here presented in this Atharvana, Ganapati Atarvashirsha Upanishad. If we get a chance, we should chant this every day. It is as good as chanting all the Upanishads, you know. And then if we know what we are chanting, even better, mananam will happen. You know, so very beautiful is what is presented over here. So much systematic evolution of the thought is there, but you know, in the interest of time, what to do in the Taittiriya Upanishad and all those places where this Abhinna, Keno Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, where this Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana is brought out. Oh ho ho ho, Shankaracharya ji writes commentary. We have to understand, how is this possible? Gauda Padacharya ji takes this dream state and elaborates on the canvas of Karikas of, Mandukya Upanishad. Vaitatya Prakaranam, Vaitatya Sarva Bhavanam, he starts with that. Fantastic if we study Mandukya Upanishad. This Mandukya Upanishad is summarized in this fifth mantra, imagine. So beautiful is this. So now, if Bhagavan's nature, immanent nature is talked about in the previous mantra, in the fifth mantra, what we just saw, that he is the upholder of the multitudes of the universe, and each one of them are figment of imaginations, they are just illusions. Then who is he? What is his nature? So then his transcendental nature is now presented in mantra number 6. Okay, mantra number 6. Tvam gunatrayatitaha, tvam avasthatrayatitaha, tvam dehatrayatitaha, tvam kalatrayatitaha. So in this, his transcendental nature is now talked about. Who is this Ganesh ji? Tvam gunatrayatitaha. You are beyond the 3 gunas of Prakriti. How can we say that? Because when it is said in the previous mantra that Sarvam Jagadidam Tvatto Jayate, Sarvam Jagadidam Tvattastishtati, Sarvam Jagadidam Tvai Layameshyati, Sarvam Jagadidam Tvai Pratyeti. In this cycle which goes on, Bhagavan, I experience manyness. And this pluralistic world which is experienced as manyness, people are unique. Beings are unique. And the uniqueness of the beings can be categorized in the 3 gunas. What are the 3 gunas? Some people are active. Some people are very dull. And some people are neither active nor dull, but they are very alert. So the alert one is known as Sattvic Guna. The active is known as Rajoguna, and then the dull one is known as the Tamoguna. How can we make this daring observation? Because we can see that in the morning hours, the created world is peaceful, it is fresh. And as the sun heats up the day, it becomes hot and active. And by the time evening arrives, people find themselves tired and dull. So in your creative cycle, Tvai Prati Eti, it comes out back again. It is like the day which goes into night, which comes back out again. And we observe this in the day, the freshness, the active and the dull. The freshness, the active and the dull. Thus, O Bhagavan, we have seen the created world is smitten with 3 gunas. But you are gunatitaha, you are beyond the gunas. The gunas do not affect you. You are the wielder of the 3 gunas. Then tvam avasthatrayatitah. Tvam avasthatraya atitah. You are beyond the three avastha. What are the three avastha? Jagrat, Swapna, and Shushupti. The waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. Who says this? This is specifically a human being goes through these three experiences, each and every single one of us, every day. Tvam dehatrayatitah. You are beyond the three bodies. What three bodies? The sthula sharira, gross body, the sukshma sharira, the mind, intellect, the perceiver, feeler, thinker, ego, and the flip side of the intellect, the chitta. Manabuddhi, chitta, ahankar. So chitta, the memory. So mind, intellect, ego, and the memory, the subtle body, which happens to be the driver of the physical body. When we have a car, the car cannot do anything without the driver. So the driver is the subtle body. But the driver and the car are there, but the driver cannot drive the vehicle if the fuel is not there. So the fuel is vasanas. Desires is the fuel of our life. So this is the third body called Karana Sharira. It is the cause. So Sthula, Sukshma, Karana Sharira. Tvam Dehatrayatitah. You are beyond the three bodies. Tvam Kalatrayatitah. You are beyond the three periods of time. The past, the present, and the future. Actually, time, the unit of measurement of time is second. Very interesting. In English language, we call it second. But you can only call it second with respect to the first. If the first is not there, the second will never arrive. Very interesting. So time is measured only when second is there. And when second is there, then third will come and fourth will come, and then it is infinite regress. It just goes on and on and on. So the unit of measurement of time according to our Shastra is the distance between two thoughts. That is why in Yoga Vasishtha and other places, Amani Bhav is talked about. What is Amani Bhav? A place where the mind ceases to be mind. And when does a mind cease to be mind? When mind doesn't entertain another thought. That is called Samadhi Avastha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. When enough times it is done, a day, weeks, months, years, decades, the mind absorbs into the Shiva Tattva. And one fine day, the Shiva Tattva alone remains and nothing happens. This is what happened to Sri Ramana Maharshi Ji. Absolute Amani Bhav. Cannot even recognize the fact that he is in Tiruvannamalai or sitting in this Annamalai temple. Nothing. All gone. When he woke up, the second when the eyes, when person enters this reality, where am I? Who am I? But this awareness of the Shiva Tattva is so profound. The mind sees the pluralistic world, yet it remains where it has found itself in its own abode, that is called self-realization. So, kalatrayatitaha. It goes beyond the gunas, the three avasthas, the three bodies, the three periods of time, and time remains still because the mind doesn't create any other thought. Gurudev's, my favorite words of Gurudev, the last thought is thoughted and no new thought is thoughting. Grammatically incorrect sentence, but this is the only way we can explain Tvam kalatrayatitaha. The last thought has been thoughted over and no new thought is thoughting. And I remain in Shiva Samadhi. That is Tvam kalatrayatitaha. So in this mantra that we saw, this is the transcendental nature of our Ganesh Ji. Very, very beautifully explained over here. Tvam gunatrayatitaha, tvam amasthatrayatitaha, tvam dehatrayatitaha, tvam kalatrayatitaha. Tvam mooladhara sthitosi nityam, tvam shakti trayatmakaha, tvam yogino dhyayanti nityam. So Upanishads were talked about. In the previous few mantras, Upanishads meaning the knowledge of Upanishadic Vidya about absolute truth, Satchidananda, Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram, all those things, Sat, Chitta, Ananda, Brahman, all those things. Now, Tantra is brought. This is Tantra Vidya. And what is Tantra Vidya? Tvam mooladhara sthito asinityam. This is a unique Shastra. Tantra Shastra is not ordinary. Guru is required to unfold a Tantra Shastra. It is said that in Tan meaning Sharir. That's why we say Tanna Manna Dhanna Sabha Kucha Hai Tera. So Tan is Tanu Bhav is the physical body, and this physical body is also referred to as yantra. It is in Sanskrit, yantra means an equipment. And this Tantra, the science of Tantra says that in this physical body, our eyes cannot see it, but there exists a very unique esoteric science, not available for knowledge for ordinary people. A unique awakened person is required who has knowledge about this Vidya to utilize it to further the journey of a jiva on this path of self-realization. So Vedanta is a marg, it is a path to Atma Vidya. Now this Tantra also is a path to Atma Vidya. So it is said that there are 7 energy points in this physical form. There is the base most known as Mooladhar, then Swadhisthana, then Manipur, then Anahat, then Vishuddhi, then Agnya, and then Sahasrar. These are the 7 places where there is a secretive science. It is said that the serpentine power of the universe known as the Kundalini Shakti, she abides in this lowest most chakras in all beings to start out in this creation, and that is known as Mooladhara chakra. And each chakra has a presiding deity, has certain number of petals of lotus that they abide on. And each one of these petals are certain powers. And they carry certain weapons. And they combat certain types of desires. And when those desires are conquered, the person rises. This is the gradation in conquering the quality and the texture of desires. And it is said that Ganesh Ji is the Lord which holds the Kundalini Shakti within him. And he will only release it in a person who is fit for this particular path. And in case if this power is released without the anugraha of Ganesh Ji, for sure it will create a disaster in that person's life. Without the invocation of Vinayaka, this Shakti cannot be fiddled around with. It is not advisable to fiddle around with Vinayaka sitting in this Mooladhara chakra. Thus it is said, Tvam Mool Adhara Asi Sthitaha. You are abiding. Imagine he is the Lord of the whole universe. In the fifth mantra, we saw his immanent nature as the one who is the Lord of the universe. And then the sixth mantra, the transcendental nature. Now, it is said that in all beings, he is present. And he's present as the serpentine power, just like a snake charmer keeps the cobra coiled up in a bamboo basket. And when the spectator arrives, he opens the bamboo basket extremely gently so that he does not anger the cobra within the basket. And he picks up his bugle-like flute, and with certain gestures of movement, he awakens the snake lying dormant in the bamboo basket, and slowly the cobra rises. But the snake charmer has a methodology in making sure that he rises the cobra properly in the bamboo basket. If he runs away from the basket and runs towards the spectators all standing over there and watching, it can create a disaster. This Vinayaka, Bhagavan Ganesh Ji, is the one who holds his mother's serpentine power of Prakriti. Imagine the illusory world is so fascinating. The manifested world is so fascinating. And our Purusha Suktam says, Pado o yasya vishwa bhutani tripada simritam divi. Oh, the manifested glory is only 1/4. 3/4 is the unmanifest. And that unmanifest power is there in the serpentine coil held by Ganesha. If he chooses, he can do a lot with this power. And he has done in so many different people with so many different powers. This is a tantra aspect which is also covered in this mantra, that Ganesh ji is not only the deity of the Vedic lore, smart the tradition, but he's also the Lord of the Tantra tradition. Tvam mooladhara sthitosi nityam, tvam shakti trayatmakaha. He is of the Shakti, the powers, and the threefold power which exists in Vinayaka, in the Shakti Trayatmaka, is the Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. With these three Shaktis, he can do something, undo something, and do otherwise. That's the power of these three Shaktis. When he unleashes them in the right amount, in the right person, with the right sadhanas, who has conquered right amount of desires, the three Shaktis shine brilliantly. But if prematurely somebody messes around with it, these three Shaktis in a life of a person can go haywire. And we sometimes wonder how a nice person can do such a horrible karma. This is how. This is such a person who is such a knowledgeable person. This is what he did. Ayyo, what happened? Buddhiyane gire mukeli kesu. What happened? Did he pack up his intelligence in a bank locker? But this is what happens. This Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti of the serpentine power which Ganesh ji holds in his right hand is not ordinary. It shines brilliantly in people who are capable of wielding them. Tvam yogino dhyayanti nityam. And it is these great yogis who meditate upon this to become a man of wisdom. But in the process of becoming a man of wisdom, each yogi is given a right amount of power. And this is the root of it. This is where it rises from. So this Ganesh ji is beyond everything, and even the Tantra is where he is abiding. Thus, he is meditated upon by a hotvam yogino dhyayanti nityam. Now, this particular Upanishad for the person whose Ishta Devata is Ganesh ji. But what about the other powers of the universe and other Devatas? So it is said over here that, all the Devatas which are governing this universe, it is Ganesh ji alone. So if your Ishta Devata is Bhagavan Krishna, Narayan Bhagavan, then Narayan Bhagavan is everything. If your Ishta Devata is Devi, then Devi is everything. Because understand that truth is only one. It is only Nirguna Nirakar, the nameless, formless, absolute truth has no distinction in it. It is existence, awareness, bliss, infinitude. And what name form can we give to that? There is no name and form to that. So in case if any powerful name and form exists, Bhagavan, it is you. Even in Narayan Suktam, Narayan Bhagavan is the greatest. Ratakam Satyam Param Brahma Purusham Krishna Pingalam Urdhvam. So Bhagavan Narayan is everything. Tvam Rudrastvam Vishnustvam. Same thing is said over here. Tvam Brahma, Tvam Vishnustvam, Rudrastvam, Indrastvam, Agnisvam, Vayusvam, Suryastvam, Chandramasvam, Brahma Bhuvaswarom. So it is said over here, Tvam Brahma, you are Brahmaji, not Brahman, because name and form are talked about over here. So he's Mr. Saraswati, okay, Brahmaji. So then Vishnustvam. So Mr. Lakshmi Ji. So this is Bhagavan Vishnu over there. Tvam Brahma, Tvam Vishnustvam, Rudrastvam Shivji. So you are Brahmaji, you are Bhagavan Vishnu, you are Lord Shiva, Tvam Indrastvam. So these three deities are the Vedic deities and also the Puranic deities, which are said to be in Hinduism, the creator, the sustainer, and then the annihilating cause as Rudra Bhagavan. So in this way, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are the three deities in Vedas as well as in Puranic stories talked about as the deities of this world. Shrushti Karta, Samhara Karta, and Sthiti Karta. All of these, Bhagavan Ganeshji, you alone are them. Indrastvam, and the host of deities required to maintain this universe, 33 crores. The foremost among them is Indra Bhagavan. So by saying Indra, all deities of the universe are Agnistvam, and of these deities, some great ones, the fire god, the wind god, Vayusvam, Suryasvam, the sun god, and Chandramasvam, Chandrama, the moon god. All of these things, by saying that Agniswam, Suryaswam, Chandraswam, actually this is also esoteric science talked about from the previous shloka. You know, the three Shaktis, Ichha Shakti, Gnan Shakti, Kriya Shakti. Well, the serpentine power is also in three: Ida, Pingala, and Shushumna. So, Ida is considered to be the Chandra Nadi, Pingala is considered to be the Surya Nadi, and Sushumna is considered to be the Agni Nadi. So, that is why over here, Agniswam, Suryaswam, Chandramaswam, all three of them are indicated as the Tantra Vidya also spills over into this one. Bhur Bhuvaswarom. So Tantra is those three nadis, and then Bhur Bhuvaswarom is the three Vyahrutis, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, beyond this earthly world, the intermediary world, the heavenly world, and the beyond. All this is you. So Vedic is Bhur Bhuvaswarom, and Tantric is Agniswam, Suryaswam, Chandramaswam. And then Puranic is Brahmaswam, Vishnuswam, Rudraswam. Okay. So all this Puranic is talked about, Vedic is talked about, Tantric is talked about. All this is you, Bhagavan Ganeshji. Whichever path one chooses, it is you and you alone, Bhagavan. Ganadi em purvamucharya varnadi en sadanantaram anuswara paratarah arde endulasitam tarena ruddham etatvam anuswarupam gakara purvarupam akaro madhyama rupam anuswarascha antya rupam binduruttara rupam Nadasandanam Sugmhita Sandihi. So now Now this is the Swaroop of Ganesh Ji, but this Nirguna Nirakar Swaroop, and beyond that, the Saguna Sakar Swaroop of Ganesh Ji is talked about over here as an aid for the meditator to meditate, to take the support of the form of Ganesh Ji to meditate. And thus, up to now, Nirguna Nirakar was pretty much talked about, the nameless, the formless, all those things, qualityless, all that was talked about. Now, the Sagun Sakar with the form. So, Ganadiim Purvamucharya Varnadiim Stadanantaram. So, Ganadiim, Ga, over here, the first syllable in Ganesha. So, having pronounced this Gakar Purvam first, Ucharya, like I said, having pronounced or uttered, Varnadiin, and the Varnamala of A, I, I, U, and then Kakha, Gagana, Chacha, Jajana, in all this Varnamala, this Ganadiim Purvamucharya Varnadiim Stadanantaram, having seen the Gakara form of Ganesha. You know how in Sanskrit the Ga is written like this with a line. And that Gakar itself is the form of Ganesha. And the entire Sanskrit alphabet, and not just Sanskrit, any Bhasha alphabet, the Shabda Rashis, the words are only created by the admixture of these sounds. That's it. Any sound which is there, any word which is there in the dictionary cannot be created without these alphabets. So the Varnamala becomes the cause of Varnanam of the Jagat. I hope you are following what I'm saying. The Varnamala, the alphabets, becomes the cause of the description of the world. Because without the alphabets, how will we even stick a label to something? When I say this is glass, Glass. So this is a glass of water. So when I say this glass, so G is there, L-A-S-S. So only Varnamala is taken to produce the name and form. So it is said that may Ga be uttered before speaking any other words, because Ga is the one which describes Ganesh. And remember, yesterday I talked about Ga is Ganit, Gana, Sankhya, counting. So to count the plurality of this world without Ganesh, Ga, counting, it cannot happen. So Ganadim Purva, having Ucharya, spoken that first, Varnadi Instadanantaram, then comes all other words, because we have understood the world to be nothing but the manifestation of Ganesha. Anuswara Parataraha. And then Anuswara, the M which truncates everything. Ganadim, that Ma which ends everything, the Makar which ends everything is called Anuswara Parataraha. And then at the end, full stop in English. period in US. So that is the end of the sentence or the end of the description. Arde endulasitam, and anuswara is denoted by that dot, and then arde endulasitam, ardha, half, indu, moon, lasitam, the very beautiful half crescent moon in the sky itself is lasitam, none other than the nasal sounds. So all the various sounds are compared to the very form of Ganeshji. Tarena ruddam, and Tarena ruddam, Tarena, by this Taraka mantra Om, Tarena, Taraka mantra Om, ruddam, it is a prefix. So what are we talking about over here? Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. The vyutpatti of this mantra is talked about. When it is a Tarena Ruddam, the prefix is Om, and then Gakara Ganadi Im Purva Ucharya, having, and then Anuswara Om Gama Gam. Now comes Ganapati. Tarena Ruddam Etat Evam Anuswara Tarena Ruddam Etatvanuswarupam Gakara Purva Rupam Akaro Madhyama Rupam Anuswarascha Antya Rupam Binduruttara Rupam Nadasandanam Sagamhita Sandihi. So Om Gam Ga Na Pa Ta Ye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. The whole description of Ganapati by the mantra Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha is talked about over here. I will continue from here because this requires little explanation, and I will finish this mantra tomorrow and we will continue. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.